Hello, everybody. Just getting everyone set up here. I'm looking for my co-host today, who I know is joining me. Oh, there she is. One moment, everybody. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. We are here with our undeniable session on imposter syndrome today, and we're talking with the one and only Casey Calkins. Casey, thanks for being here. We've got a lot to chat about today, but before we do, I just want to take a moment and introduce you and then give you a moment to introduce yourself, so that we can understand a little bit more about your background and kind of some of the questions we can ask today. So if anyone has questions at any time, please go ahead and leave them in either the chat. It'll go just to Casey and I, or you can use the Q&A function and we'll keep your name anonymous as always, in how we do this here. So Casey is someone I met recently, who's just a fantastic coach and leader. And she is someone that really understands business acumen, empathy, and self-awareness. This is something she's worked on over time. She's got over 15 years across sales and sales leadership in SaaS and financial services, high tech and professional services. So she knows what she's talking about. She's been through the rodeos herself, and she's on the other side to help us as we're growing in our careers. Casey is the founder of C2 It Partners, which is a consultancy specializing in sales leadership development. And her mission is to transform individuals and businesses by helping leaders tap into their biggest strengths, which is really what we're going to be talking about today, your biggest strengths. All right, Casey, I just said a whole lot about you. Let us know from your perspective, what should we know about you and your background?
Oh gosh. Well, I am one of those people that never necessarily aspired to be in sales or in leadership at any point in my career. And I somehow managed to end up there for whatever reason or not, or another. So I understand this topic we're talking about today very personally of imposter syndrome. Um, because I truly still to this day feel like I fell into the industry that I was in. And um, so it's actively a mindset that I have worked through over time. But yeah, I spent a long time in my corporate career. And then as of about 2.5 years ago, I decided to go out and try something new on my own. I'm also a mom of two. I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and part of starting my own business was being able to help people across the board in creating my own thing and also being really present with them. I love to be a soccer
Yeah.
coach to my daughter, a Girl Scout leader. It's a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Did you say soccer coach for your daughter?
I am. Yeah. I'm. Thank you. Yeah. I played
Yes.
soccer growing up. I'm the epitome. This is like fun fact time about Casey. I'm
Yes,
one of
please.
those millennial girls that idolized Mia Hamm and Julie Foudy and, the
I'm one of those Gen X
99ers.
girls that did that. Yes.
Also, yes, Michelle Akers. Um, and I idolized all of them, and they made a huge impact in my life. I single-handedly feel that my time in youth sports growing up through college really shaped who I was as a person, and I'm just really passionate about that personally too.
Awesome. I don't know if you know this, but Get Her Hired sponsors are the Twin Cities Women's Professional Soccer League, which is called the Minnesota Aurora. So we're a sponsor
Love
of the
it.
Aurora.
I love it.
Yeah, so we can talk soccer sometime. I didn't know this about you, Casey.
I didn't either. You
Maybe
played
we
as
could.
well?
I did, yes. But when I was playing, so we're totally getting off topic, but I maybe this is interesting. When I was playing, I was in Chicago, right? Chicago Public
Hmm.
Park Districts, and they didn't have like school soccer teams back then. And
Yeah.
really, I don't know, maybe they did, but we played at the park district level in the city. And back then it was all co-ed. There wasn't, there were
Yeah.
boys teams and then there were co-ed teams because there weren't enough girls to make girls
Teams.
teams. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I played competitively with a co-ed team until I was like 12. And then the boys started creeping me out because they were like hormonal.
You know what? I actually wrote, sorry, I'm adjusting here. My camera keeps spazzing out on me and I'm like zooming in and out. Um, my daughter did co-ed Little League until last year. I actually wrote a post on this about on LinkedIn about this. And we switched to softball because the boys started having a really the hormones, and also I think they started having a really hard time with the fact that um, she was better than a lot of them, which was an interesting thing. This kind of taps into imposter
Yeah.
syndrome
Imposter
and
syndrome.
some interesting external factors that go into it too. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
tying it back together.
Awesome.
We got
Okay.
off track, but we're coming back, you know?
Well, this was fun fact morning. I like this. I like this.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, and it's good to hear these things because this happens across our lives, this imposter syndrome. Before we get much further, I'm wondering, could you take a moment and define for us how you think about imposter syndrome? What's your definition of it?
So I think imposter syndrome is a type of self-distortion. Um, I see in a lot of leaders that I work with, because I'm mostly working with leaders in corporate America, and I see two types of self distortions show up a lot, and they both come from unintentionally a lack of self awareness or an insecure view of yourself. So I see
Hmm.
on one end imposter syndrome, which is essentially the self distortion that I am not deserving of what I have, combined with everyone's going to find out that I don't deserve to be here. It's I feel I don't deserve to be here, but it's also everybody's going to find out too. And then the other side, which we're not going to talk about today, but I do see it a lot, and I think most people on this call may resonate with this, is I see overconfidence. And these are the people that are walking around feeling like, I'm a fantastic leader. I'm great at what I do. I totally deserve to be here. Why doesn't everyone else get it?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right? Um, uh-huh. We
Some
kind of
people might call that
chuckle
sociopath, but you know.
to the extreme, right? But they're both distortions of how you view yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got the message here. If you're a sociopath, this isn't going to be for you. You need to go. However, if you're afraid at any moment you're going to turn around and be found out that you're an imposter, um, we're happy to have you here. We're going to help you out with this. We're going to open with a conversation on a few different questions. I just want to gauge what's going on here in the room with everyone we've got. So I've put up a poll question right now. Um, how often do you question whether you're qualified for your role? So let's see what we've got going on here. So your question if you're qualified for the role you're in right now. Right now. Yeah. Um, ooh, ooh. We've got no one answering almost never, Casey. I don't know
Good.
if you can see this, but we've
I
got a
can't.
lot of people who are often and sometimes self-doubting, okay? So we're often in self-doubt. That definitely goes into your feeling of not deserving to be here. Um, let's do this one. Another question. Which thought feels truest now? I earned my place here. I'm still growing, and that's okay. Imposter syndrome has been distorting my worldview, or I trust my expertise more than I did before. All right. So right now, a lot of people, you know what? Their inner belief, this is interesting, Casey. We're
Mm,
getting about half and half, like imposter syndrome's distorting my view. I'm still growing. Okay. And then we've got about half the people that say, I trust my expertise more than I did before.
good.
So there's some growth, right? Like we may feel like a lot of self-doubt, but there's trust, it sounds like that people have in themselves, which that's huge. I'll pause right there before I go with another question. How does trust play into imposter syndrome? Just because we saw that about half the people do trust themselves, but they still have doubt.
I think that at our core, I love that we had a lot of people saying that because that means that at their core, they know confidently who they are. And if you don't have that, I think it would be very difficult to rise up within any ranks within any organization. When you truly don't have any element of self trust, of self knowing that I can do this, that gets into like belief in stick to itiveness and grit. I think they're tied.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm not I'm happy with that. I'm also I don't think it's super surprising because I think you have to have an element of inner knowing in order to rise the ranks within any organization.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it fades, right? It seems like a spectrum of
Hmm.
that we're on. Okay. I'm gonna
And
launch another.
I think
Oh,
it's an
go ahead.
interesting, really quick, I think it's an interesting paradox that both can be true. You can believe in your heart, I can do this and I have the capability and the capacity. God, I face this every day with being an entrepreneur. I can do
Mhm.
this. I've got this. But by the same token, still feel that self doubt. It's like having the angel and the devil on your shoulders,
Yes.
you know?
Ugh.
Uh huh. The sucker punch. Ugh.
Yeah, it just makes me think of like psyching myself up for the big meeting in the boardroom and then getting in there and wondering which chair to take. And then, someone else sits down next to me I didn't expect. And then all of a sudden I'm back in being a little girl again.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. The
Yes.
overthinking taps in, right?
Oh, yeah. Overthinking. Oh, there's a keyword. Yes.
Did
How
you ever
many of
watch
you
Ted
are?
Lasso? Yeah, I was gonna say, did you ever watch Ted Lasso, Kate?
I love Ted Lasso, soccer,
How
once
about,
again,
yeah, I
football.
mean, once
Yes.
again, fitting. But the episode with Rebecca when it's towards the end, I think it's in season 3, when she's in the boardroom with all the other owners and they flash to her as a little girl. It's like,
Yeah.
I just sobbed. I could so relate to that, you know?
Yes, 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 yes. Ooh, the overthinking of things. How many of you here today, you can put your hand in the chat or whatever, feel like you overthink things, and that is a part of where the imposter syndrome might come from for you. That seems relatable for me anyway, so I'm gonna say that that's something. We do have one friend raise their hand. We've got a couple friends raising their hands. Okay, thank you. So I'm not alone in that one. We've got a friend on here who says they take it to an art form, the overthinking. Ooh.
Yeah. And actually, that's oftentimes a default response or a coping mechanism for imposter syndrome. There's
Okay.
a lot of things we do to try and feel better about this feeling of what if I get found out, right? And one of them is overwork, which also is overthinking, over processing, this idea of analysis paralysis, thinking of all the scenarios. And it has to do with
Yeah.
this idea of trying to find a sense of safety.
Okay.
There's other ways people will cope to things like self-sabotage or just not putting yourself in situations where you can take a risk, um,
Yeah.
procrastination. But yeah, overthinking for
Yeah.
sure is one.
Okay. Thank you, Casey. So let's have another question here. Um, when you receive positive feedback, what would you like to do going forward? If you receive positive feedback, do you want to accept it, pause and let it land, use it as evidence in of your expertise, or practice not minimizing it? So going forward, when you receive positive feedback, what would you like to do? We're getting people across the board here saying, this is so interesting, Casey. Um, can you see the quiz, by the way? I wonder how I can
I
show you
can
the
see the
quiz.
questions, I can't see the
Okay.
results.
Okay. So what I would say, we only have one person who said they use it as evidence of their expertise. One person. And then we have five people who um, use the other answers. And I go right to using it as evidence of expertise because I'm a resume writer. I love data. And if
Mm,
you're going to get positive feedback, hell yes, use it as evidence of your expertise. But
right.
maybe, there's some logical leaps I'm making between receiving that feedback, being ready to receive that feedback, accepting it without deflecting, pausing it and letting it land and not minimizing it. And then if we do those three things, we can use it as evidence of expertise.
Well, I think that's interesting because my default response would be A, accept without
Mhm.
deflecting. Oh, now I can see it. Lovely. My default
Okay.
response is A, accept without deflecting, is like my goal when I get feedback going forward. I think it's really important that you start to think of it as evidence towards your expertise because that means that you are getting to a place where you can view yourself more objectively. All of these other ones are a little bit more subjective, like internal based, but the best way to overcome imposter syndrome is to zoom out and like be an outsider looking in on where you are and how you fit within your company and within your team. So almost like trying to zoom out and be like, okay, how would like how do I like have these chips that like justify why I'm here or why I am who I am. I'm not making sense, but you get the idea.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, I just want to remind you, if you've got questions, put them over in the chat. Let me just make sure that you can see where the chat is. I just sent a chat so everyone can see it. But if you've got questions for anything we're talking about at any moment, we can pause and go deeper with Casey on this. She's an expert on it, and we'll keep your name anonymous. So please just know that this is a safe place to ask these questions. Casey, I was talking with a client this morning who um, has a JD. Okay, she's a lawyer.
Brilliant.
She's also been in public service in a very large metropolitan area on the city council. And she's made massive decisions, had to take the flack for it in public, had to stand up for what she believed. She accomplished 500% growth in one of her strategic initiatives that she brought to the city council. She increased funding by millions of dollars for a certain initiative. And I was working with her today, this morning,
Yeah.
and said to her, you're ready to be, your resume reads executive director, CEO. And she said, oh no, I can't. I couldn't possibly do that. And so normally I don't coach necessarily during my resume writing sessions with clients, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait a minute, wait a minute. And so I bring this up because I see it all the time when I look at the data around someone's information. I'm, um, obviously someone who's more objective than subjective, right? So I can see it from a different lens. And I'm like, Queen, you better go take an executive director job right now. Stop talking about being a director of XYZ underneath three layers of decision making. But so for you, when you've seen this in other people, what is happening again? I think we've touched on it a little bit, but what is happening for someone like that, like so good and yet can't see it?
I think the first question as a coach that I would ask someone like that is, how did you feel when you first had a job opportunity as an attorney? How did you feel when you first had an opportunity to taking on city council? When someone first approached you about it? Not when you're already in the process, when someone first approached you about it, just like that situation with being an executive director. And I would bet
Yeah,
that the self talk was pretty similar.
yeah.
And part of, I think, what's unique, particularly, I'm going to say particularly for women, but I think this can happen to men in female dominated industries as well to some degree, is there is an element of truth and stereotyping that
Mhm.
plays into this too, that we use as validation for why I can't ever do that and why I don't deserve to be here.
Oh, okay.
I think it's interesting that your client, a JD, she's been an attorney. How many female attorneys are there relative to male attorneys?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, City councils. most city councils within America and all levels of government are dominated by men.
Mhm.
Um, most CEOs are men. So there is this element of societal pressure that I think we shouldn't ignore. And when you own that, it somehow becomes a little bit validating, like, oh, maybe part of why I'm telling myself I don't deserve to be here is because for decades, people like me have been told we don't deserve to be here.
Mhm.
So maybe that's a
Mhm.
part of this. It kind of gets you out of your own head. Um, it's something that I try to encourage people to see. But the more that you can encourage someone like that to be more objective with their abilities and also owning the things that are never going away, those
Yeah.
societal pressures are never going to go away.
Yeah.
And if she responds with, well, I made it to city council because not because of my merit, but because I was just kind of likable. People liked me. It was a popularity contest. You
Mhm.
know what? It's just as much of a popularity contest for everyone else as it is for you, right? Reminding people of those things. Like, I think it's very easy to get into our own heads and think that, God, I do this all the time too. My mom used to always say to me, Casey, it's not all about you, which used to peeve me to no
What?
end as a
How dare
teenager.
she? How
How
dare
dare
she?
she? But she would say it in the context of when I was spiraling in my own self doubt, for trying to go after things. Gosh, they won't consider me for this because of X, Y, and Z. I'm not capable because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, people actually make decisions based on looking at the big picture, not just because of all the things that you talk about yourself. People don't look at you that way. They're thinking about a lot of other things other than you.
Yeah. Yeah. They're probably thinking about themselves most of the time.
Exactly. Most of the time we're thinking about ourselves. Yes. There was an
That's
interesting
true.
Yeah, there was an interesting question that came in,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
about, I think imposter syndrome really starts to creep in, when like chronic unemployment starts to come
Yes.
into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So we got a question here from someone who's been unemployed for 9 months. They've got 30 years experience. And their confidence is at an all-time low right now. Ouch. I feel for you. Call me. Okay. What are some strategies to overcome this? I'm going to say, yeah, imposter syndrome during a long job search, and just that confidence is like waning. Yeah.
they play into each other, right? Confidence and
Hmm.
imposter syndrome. It kind of gets back into um, the good and bad, the angel and the devil on
Yeah.
your shoulder. I think an
Yeah.
inner confidence comes from that trust and belief in I do have the capacity and the ability.
Yeah.
You can still have a little bit of self doubt. That's natural and human. I would
Yeah.
say first piece of advice is call someone like a Kate. I mean, truly, call someone who is more objective to get you out of your own head. That's the first thing. Um, uh, coaches, strategists, people who are industry professionals, um, that you've not directly worked with before can sometimes be really powerful people, because what we'll tell ourselves when we're stuck in this spiral of imposter syndrome or lack of confidence is, if I'm going to a person who knows me, has worked with me, maybe is married to me, maybe is related to me, is we're going to tell ourselves, well, they're just saying that because they know me, worked with me, are married to me. They have to, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a person who is outside of this, um, they don't know you in that way. So it's going to be a lot harder for you to say that to yourself.
Hmm.
So find outside sources that are more objective, that maybe
Hmm.
don't know you directly, to look at your resume or look at your expertise like facts, like
Yeah.
data, not
Yeah.
like bias, like not something that'll
Right.
contribute to a bias of some kind. Um, that's one thing I would say. And work with that person on helping you to see yourself, um, not through the eyes of you, but through the eyes of somebody else.
Yeah, that is so hard to separate ourselves, right? We got a comment that someone really loved that advice, Casey, about seeking that outside advice. I'll say to clients, it's like you're the Mona Lisa, and you can't see how beautiful your smile is because you're inside the frame. But
Exactly. No, it's
I
so
can stand out
true.
outside the frame and I'm looking at you and I'm like, girl, your smile is worth many millions of dollars and you need bulletproof protection.
Right, right. And by the way, the Mona Lisa, one of the most renowned paintings on planet Earth, still has people who are not fans of her.
Mhm. That's true,
Does that
Casey.
does that make her any less of a masterpiece?
Yeah.
Right? We're all going to
Yeah.
have critics,
Oh
right?
my God.
And that's a hard
Yes.
truth to hear. And like, it's so much easier to say that than to live that. But it's really helpful to have someone
Yeah.
that is more objective to say that. Like,
That is so true that we're still going to have that critic, that hater.
everyone's got the
Um,
haters.
yes. It was my goal last year to get a hater and I did. Because I knew if I was doing that, my reach was big enough, right? So that
Oh,
was
I
a
love
kind of
that.
a lag measure on how well my word was reaching people. But the imposter syndrome in the conference, you have to you I should speak for myself. When I got the hater, I was delighted. Okay. Now, there are going to be other people that I talk to who are super afraid to post anything on LinkedIn because they're afraid they'll get a hater or someone will critique them or Casey, do you not post on LinkedIn because you're afraid? Tell me.
Oh, for a long time. For a long time.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really funny is oh, it held me back for so long. I was
Yeah. Tell
literally
us about that.
when I well, I think I don't know if anyone on the line can relate to this, but when you work when you part ways with a company that was a huge part of your identity for a long time,
Hmm.
and that was Salesforce for me.
Yeah.
Man, I drank so much Ohana Kool-Aid. They talk about the Ohana culture. I mean, I could have been a Salesforce evangelist, right? I thought we were changing the world with software, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they do great work. I want to be clear. But when I put that organization on such a pedestal, I felt trapped by what other people thought of me. And it held me back from just putting myself out there because this voice in my head kept saying,
Mm.
they're going to think you're a quitter. They're going to think you're a failure. They're going to think that you don't have the chops to make it.
Hmm.
Um, and I also felt really scared of, I actually watched friends who would put something out there that was even remotely provocative, and it wasn't, but somebody took offense and I mean, it really blew up their brand a lot online.
Yeah.
I think we have these cultures that we've created, and social media has really fed into this. That our this idea we need to have a good brand, right? And if we don't have a good brand, then what do we have?
Hmm. 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 Yeah, and that fear keeps many women small, playing small, not sharing their ideas, not innovating, not bringing their light to the world that the world needs. And this is, I think, imposter syndrome really can prevent the world from progress and growth because we've been normalized and systematized into thinking that this is just the way it is. But no, it's actually a system that's been
Yep.
created through capitalism, patriarchy. I love bringing up the patriarchy before noon, so thank you for letting me do so. And this is it's just become an accepted way sometimes where then it's internalized, right? And that, oh, I shouldn't, I don't deserve to be here. I'm going to launch a poll question right now on
Yeah.
this one. So let me just see. Hold on one second. Where is it? I saw it. Okay, I'm going to launch this one. Okay. So for those of you out here on the call right now, I just launched a question on your inner dialogue. What sounds most familiar to you? I just got lucky. Everyone else seems more confident me. One day they'll realize I don't know enough. I know I'm good at what I do. I know I'm good at what I do. Yeah. I kind of hover between 3 and 4 there. One day they're going to realize I don't know enough. Sometimes I'll talk with other experts and I'm like, ooh, I'm a little dusty. And so then I go out and I learn. I have that growth learning mindset. So if I start to feel afraid, like I don't know something, I go and learn. It's
Same.
probably, that's interesting. It makes me think of a lot of clients I'll have that will go and get a master's degree, will go and get an MBA, will go and get a new certification like in a proving way. And I think I just told on myself, you too, right? Like,
Me
so if
too.
I don't know, I'm like, oh, I better go learn so that no one can
Yeah.
like find fault in
Yeah.
me. There's no fault in me. Um, but there's no reason really to do that a lot of the time, although I don't always take my own advice, right? So,
Sure.
but this
Overwhelmingly,
imposter
people were
syndrome,
saying this feeling of one
yeah,
day they're going to realize I don't know enough. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
when I first decided I wanted to go into coaching, um, I have many years of experience with leading teams, a large part of which is coaching teams, right? But I still felt the need that I needed to go get ICF credentialed to be a ICF credentialed coach. Um,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
when I first started, whenever I think about talking about a particular topic, my default mode is to know more, acquire more knowledge, um,
Mm-hmm.
deep dive, research, thinking that knowledge will somehow make me feel more confident,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Oof. Anyone out there on the call today get over certified, over degreed, over because of imposter syndrome. It is a relief valve for that. Um, in a way, but it's actually not fixing the root problem, right? Which
Right.
the self-belief, like, yeah, sure, go get your MBA. Um, and you still have to believe that that MBA means something.
Right. Because while you're in that, yeah, when you're done, our silly brains will say ridiculous things to us like, well, I somehow made it through. Or this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. This is what I do a lot. You know what? I'm not actually talented. I just worked really hard.
Tell me
Um,
more about that one.
what's going on
Ouch.
with my camera? It's like fuzzy.
Do you have it on portrait mode by chance?
I don't know.
That's
I don't.
this new feature of Zoom has portrait
It's
mode, and
new.
and
Yeah,
it
I've not dealt with this before.
yeah, she's a liar. She's no good. Portrait mode is no good.
Don't listen to portrait mode. I don't want to auto frame. Stop doing that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off my video and turn it back on.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, while Casey's doing that, I'm gonna launch another
There we go.
question. Oh, okay, you're back.
Yeah,
That was
I'm
very
back.
fast. So let's not divert then. So back to what we were talking about, menopause brain, remind me, because you were
We were
just gonna
talking
tell us,
about
oh,
the
I
self-talk of I
I
don't
just
actually
worked
have
really
the ability.
hard.
I don't have the ability. I just worked really hard.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us about that.
Um, that is one of my, I'm curious to know if anyone on the line ever defaults to that self-talk and that inner narrative, because for me, that is how I somehow justify everything I've ever accomplished in my life. I wasn't actually talented. I just worked really hard.
Mhm.
Um, but what I think that the problem with that self-talk is it ignores that when we work really hard, we're building ability and capacity.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to that. I'm a very hard worker. I used to be a work hard, play hard queen, which is like a symptom. It's a symptom of many things,
Yeah.
which I will not get into right now. But I worked really hard and didn't necessarily think the talent was always there. But then I had some other things going on as well, called alcoholism, that I'm now almost 10 years in recovery. So
Congratulations.
no longer an asshole. I really like that about myself.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Remove the things that make you a not nice person.
Yeah, keep me from showing up and helping the world. So you're
Yeah.
working, Casey, with lots of women in different corporations. What are some of those patterns you're really seeing about how highly qualified women underestimate their experience, or maybe they hesitate to claim it? What are some patterns you see in the women you have worked with?
Um, I see a lot of, I see it show up the most in, similar to what you said with your client, I see it a lot with the language that they use to describe themselves,
Mm,
and to describe and how they describe what they know and their experience.
mhm.
Um, there's a lot of personalizing what they have accomplished. And what I mean by that is not personalizing it as in owning it as a measurement for success, but rather personalizing it as it's not something that was because of my abilities. It
Mhm.
was um it's almost like I'm rambling here, but I hope I'm making sense. It's as if they downplay their own successes and in the guise of I'm just trying to be humble. I was,
Right. That's another pattern thing.
it's like
Yeah.
I just worked really hard and I got lucky, or
Right.
um
Right. Right.
I did everything I could and
Yeah.
this is what happened, and somebody saw something in me, right? Somebody else saw something in me and took a chance on me.
Took a chance on me. Oh
Hmm.
my
Some of that
God.
language, it's like, and a lot of that I think comes from, I don't mean to go back to systems and society, but yeah, like we women in particular, we feel like if we're talking about what we've done without somehow assigning it to other people, we are taking too much ownership of things ourselves and we're bragging, and we are too full of ourselves. We
Right.
over personalize those things rather than just
Right.
saying, these are facts. I did this, I was successful, and therefore I continue to move on with my career.
Hmm. Oh my God. I have so many clients, Casey, that need to talk to you who from a couple of different angles. One is that they feel like they can't take credit for a large initiative that they directed,
That's right.
that they led, right? Because they're like, well, the team did it. So that's a symptom of this imposter syndrome. And then the other one being where if we take credit for it, then we're not being a good person somehow. When we look at CEOs across the world who are running these trillion-dollar companies, they take credit for everything, even though they're not scientists or engineers, programmers. They don't actually know what they're doing. They have a huge team behind them. So yeah, that's interesting. We just got a
It,
note that came in. I don't know if you can see that, Casey. Um, oh
oh,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Oh,
Okay.
totally. Totally. Oh my gosh, this happens a lot. Go ahead and you can say it.
Let me read that out loud and then hear your response. And if anyone else has questions, please write it in. Okay. We had someone say, I feel like I owe my career to the male CEO that promoted me from EA, executive assistant, to VP. Dang Queen, congratulations. EA to VP. Yes. So it is a struggle to show up to a new role going straight into a VP role. Oh, Casey, what do you got to say on that?
I think we're over indexing on the luck and timing and relationship data point when it comes to getting promoted. It is a data point no different than the accomplishments you have in your resume. It's a data point no different than the work that you put in and the initiatives that you started, launched, and got off the ground and running. Yes, it's a data point. Yeah, yeah, I mean, that CEO saw something in you and therefore promoted you. But it
Mhm.
is we shouldn't over index on that data point and dismiss all of these other things. It's really
Mm,
easy to dismiss all of the other factors and just credit it to this one data point. Timing,
I love
political
that.
landscapes of corporations, um,
Yeah.
and relationships. There's politics within every promotion. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it
Yeah,
is. There is.
that's true. It is true.
There's a reason why I'm
Yes.
sure you with what you're doing, a lot of resume writing and getting a job today, it's not just about your accomplishments, it's also about what do other people say about you, what did other people think about you, and what did they think about working with you. But it's a data point no different than everything else. Don't let it
Yes.
carry more weight.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. And Casey, this reminds me, I have a number of clients who are incredibly talented, like the one I mentioned this morning, the who has the JD, who used to be this on the city council, amazing person. But they under apply. So they apply to roles that are beneath themselves. I'm actually recently talking with an amazing global pharma person. She's developing all these amazing products in pharmaceuticals. And she tells me in one voice, I want to be making the decisions, I want to be leading strategy. But then she tells me in the other voice, I can only apply for a director level job. And I'm like, you're not going to be making strategy and big decisions if you're at the director level. And you're talking to the wrong people and you keep getting disappointed because you're aiming too low. And so there's that frustration, right? Like, I know I can do more, but I don't feel confident enough to apply for the level that I should be applying at. Do you
Mhm.
find that too? That the women you work with, maybe not in the application, but just in how they're showing up at work?
Yeah, yeah. No, I do career coaching as well. So I have some of these circumstances with women. And sometimes the response is there is some nuance when it comes to roles in particular. Um, because as I know, I'm sure you know, like executive director, C-level executive, that role can look very different depending on the type of company, the industry vertical, and the company's size. So sometimes to gain your confidence, it might mean putting yourself in a situation where you can be arguably a bigger fish in a smaller pond initially.
Yes.
Um, and maybe that's what you need as like the next step to feeling confident
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just shrink your pond a little bit,
Mhm.
um, so that you can be at a place where you can feel like a bigger deal. You're still the same size fish, right? You're
Right.
just
Right.
there's
Right.
fewer other fish swimming around you. Um,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I try to talk about a little bit is um, because sometimes, and again, there is a reality that sometimes you're very ready for that executive director C-level role, but that might be something maybe you're thinking of that role at a massive organization. Like not everyone needs to be going for being the CEO of Disney, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
and they're still CEOs, and we still look at them with a huge amount of respect.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. We got a note come in, a little love note came in from the audience. If anyone else has love notes, please send them over. This person is saying they really struggle with taking credit for something that the team did. What do you say to that, Casey?
Um, we're watching the Olympics right now. Is anybody else watching the Olympics?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I think there is something to be said for being a team player, and it's important to recognize the accomplishments of your teammates. But you are, again, we're over indexing. If we go back to your comment about data points, let's say there's 8 people on a team. unless you literally didn't show up and sat on the bench the entire time, and even then I would argue you're still involved to some degree, but you are part of that entire team that contributes to the objective initiative that's getting accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of over indexing on other people and under indexing on yourself, recognizing that you are an equal player in that group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or maybe even a leader in that group.
Maybe even a leader in that group. Right.
Can I
The
tell you?
team isn't it interesting that the team captains are always the one to give everyone else the credit?
Yes.
It's kind of interesting,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a little bit of an element of leadership, I will say.
Yeah.
Um,
There is that appreciation and recognition.
yeah,
Absolutely. But then there's also, here's when you're saying over index, under index, I'm thinking like, well, we have no problem taking flack and shit for the stuff we do wrong, that the team does wrong. I'll stand up and defend my team all day for what they did wrong, and I'll
yes,
take responsibility for it. But when we flip that coin over and we're like, your team did well. Oh, no, 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 I can't take responsibility for what my team did well.
yep, yep. It is definitely a
Um,
challenging side of servant leadership. Someone brought that up. It is the
yeah.
challenging side of servant leadership, but um, sometimes it's helpful to speak to, if you are the leader in that situation, how did you contribute to multiplying the talents of others? I don't know if you've ever read, Kate, have you ever read the book Multipliers by Liz Wiseman?
Not, no. Mm-mm.
It's a great book on leadership. She's a social scientist, ex high up in corporate,
Mm-hmm.
and also mom of five, which I just think is really
Ooh,
incredible and badass. But she
yes.
talks about how the best leaders are those that can identify the abilities and the strengths in other people and find opportunities to magnify those things.
Ah.
Right. So think about if it's an initiative and you are the leader, you're that servant leader in that situation. What did you do to lift up the people on your team to rise?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just found a link and put that in there in case anyone wants to check that out. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I know we're coming toward the end of our discussion here. Um, and something that comes up quite frequently in our work at Get Her Hired, like I said, like this under application for what you really want to do and how the imposter syndrome gets in the way of how they pursue themselves, how they position themselves for that next role, how they talk about themselves when they're networking. The imposter syndrome just can wreak havoc on a person's search. And so there was a person who said they've been unemployed for 9 months, and I can see how imposter syndrome can really leak into a long extended search like that. What mindset shifts do you think can help us to move away and trust the evidence of the experience? So I know we've talked about this a couple times, but maybe talk it through from the perspective of a mindset shift of how we can grab back our confidence.
Yeah. Um, I think putting yourself in the shoes of other people, like objectively, is important.
Hmm.
Um, so thinking about the role of a hiring manager in a company and what they might be looking for in a particular person, or hire or filling a particular role, to try and think about external factors that might be going into the decision making process of who they're going to hire for things. Um, that's an exercise that's a really interesting one to do. I have a friend, a dear friend, that has always worked in project management, um, and she has been impacted by reductions in force 7 times in the
Ugh,
last 10 years.
I'm
And that
so
is, it's
sorry. Yeah.
very easy to feel like that's based on your merit, but it's always based on reductions in force. And I was working with her on coming to this recognition of what are the common threads outside of you that might be contributing to this. And it was the types of businesses when there's ebbs and flows. She's working in project management largely for product design and marketing, product marketing. And if there's ebbs and flows in the financial landscape of the business, that's a role that will get eliminated. And that's not personal. That's just, that's the fact of life. The other thing I would say to do, this is not a reframe, but it's in the exercise of trying to learn more about yourself. I put this next to me knowing we were talking about this because I love this book. I'm always about books. The
Ooh,
Secret Thoughts of Successful Women.
okay.
Um, this is written by she's an educator. She's a psychologist and she's high up in higher ed, but she talks a lot about women in the workplace. And
Yeah.
she has a lot of really interesting strategies. Um, we've talked about a couple of these things, but if there's a way that you can get yourself to zoom out and look at things objectively and externally, the more helpful it will be. But gosh, I really feel for you with being out for 9 months. That really, there is nothing more painful and that's going to beat you to the ground than
Yeah.
applying and interviewing nonstop only to not make it through.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Casey, for that. Um, I want to leave you, have you leave us with something here. You've brought so much great knowledge to us here today, Casey, given us hope and new insights, helped us feel seen, if nothing else, like everyone on this, you're not alone. Like even Casey and I go through these things.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I'm
yeah.
sorry to cut you off there, Kate, but I think the biggest thing you can do to cope through this stuff is knowing. I have a joke that I'll say. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. I joke that like imposter syndrome, negative self-talk, self-doubt is like this little, I don't know if anyone here watched Shrek. It's like this little Lord Farquaad on my shoulder. This very
Oh,
annoying little dude that you just have to recognize that it's there when those thoughts creep in and flick them off your shoulder and do it
hey.
anyway. Do it uncomfortable, right?
Yes. Thank you. That is a wonderful way to close this out. The final thought, do it uncomfortable. Take it as a data point. It's not, it's a data point and there are many other data points. So always be looking for those other data points as well. That objectivity, I think, is something else. And then that trust and belief in yourself is something else. Casey, if people want to learn more about you and your work, where should they find you?
The best bet is to either go to my website, www.c, the number two, itpartners.com, c2partners.com, or you can
Mhm.
check me out on LinkedIn, Casey Calkins. Follow me. I post occasionally, mostly about personal stuff, actually, which maybe you like or don't like, but would love to follow along and get to know you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just going to make sure I get your LinkedIn in here so that everyone can connect with you and follow you on LinkedIn. I'm a massive LinkedIn lover. So that I don't social media, I LinkedIn. That's what I do.
There you go.
So please follow Casey out on LinkedIn, follow her on her website. Casey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and working with us. This is such an important topic that we can move forward from. We don't have to sit in this. And hopefully, it helps a lot of other women move forward and believe in themselves, go for what they really want, not what they're telling them. Lord Farquaad is telling them they can't.
Lord Farquaad. Yep, from Shrek. Very specific image.
And we'll see everybody next time on our next Undeniable session. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.